We're back for more SPFBO content. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna and this is 4 Paws in a Book. I make bookish videos over here on my little corner of the internet, so if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below. Today we are starting a vlog where I will be reading 3 of the SPFBO9 finalists for SPFBO Cassie's version, Mel's Takeover. If you haven't been watching any of the SPFBO content, last year I did SPFBO Cassidy's version and it was so much fun. There was a bunch of us that read all of the books together and then we judged them and kind of had our own mini competition. Cassidy is now an official judge this time, and I got to be on part of her judges team for the first part, but then for the second part we just decided we were gonna do it anyways. And so Mel is heading it up this time and there are 10 of us. We're all reading the finalist and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And in this vlog I'm gonna read the first 3. So I tried to break these up a little bit so that we didn't have like 3 of the same type of books in each of the vlogs. There will be 3 vlogs, so we'll do one this month, one next month, and one in March. And like I said, I tried to break it up because there are a few cozies, there are a few darker books, and so I wanted to give a little bit of a variety in all of the vlogs. So today we're going to be talking about A Rival Most Vial by R.K. Ashwick, The Fall Is All There Is by C.M. Kaplan, and Cold West by Clayton Snyder. I've already done a predictions list on where I think these are going to rank for me personally, so if you haven't watched that and you haven't, you don't know about the synopsises of all of these, go ahead and check out that video. In this one I'm just going to be vlogging and talking about my thoughts. So prior to me starting the vlog, I actually read Cold West pretty much all in one sitting, one evening. So I'm not going to be vlogging that one. I'm just going to talk to you about my thoughts on it. So this is a fantasy western meets like grief horror, which is a weird genre bend, and I was curious about it. Now, westerns are generally like my least favorite subgenre or trope. It's not a trope, it's a subgenre. And that's pretty much of like any type of media, books, movies, TV shows, whatever. It's not a time period I generally like to read from. But I went into this with an open mind because I had heard some good things about it. It's about a man who sees his wife die. You open up like chapter 1, we are watching him bury his wife in front of his 2 young sons, and like it hits you with a gut punch, and it's really sad, and you can just kind of feel that emotion like pouring out. And like obviously, as one does when you are grieving, you make rash decisions, and his decision, for reasons that are kind of spoilery, so I'm not going to go into exactly why, he goes to hell. So I mean, choices were made. We do that sometimes when we're grieving. This book was very short. I think it was about 140 pages. And so there wasn't enough for me to really like dive into the characters and like really understand the motivations. I mean, it was like we saw him burying his wife, and then the next chapter he's like leaving. He's leaving his sons. He's like going off on this quest. And I think that I would have enjoyed this book a little bit more had it have been like a normal novel length. And solely because it felt kind of like a skeleton of a book where like we didn't understand the characters' motivations. We also didn't really understand the world that was around our characters. He like was going to hell, but you didn't like understand anything about the world, unfortunately. So for SPFBO, there was a rubric that the judges use, and so we'll be using that same rubric. It talks about characters, plot, world building, writing style, and our personal enjoyment, and then it's an average score of those. It's very similar to what I do for my own personal like rating scale for all of my books. However, with my personal rating scale, I double weight my enjoyment, and in this one it'll be all evenly, so it's 20% each for each item. Everything is on a scale from 1 to 10. So I gave characters a 4, which is kind of like a 2-star rating. I gave the plot a 5. I really liked the concept here, but again, I didn't understand why we were doing the things that we were doing because the book was just too short. The world building I gave a 6. Like I said, we were missing some key details in our scenes surrounding. There was a little bit of white room syndrome. The writing I gave a 4.5, and this is actually something that I was talking to the people in the group with at the very beginning. Every time he speaks, it's in a very Western dialect. It's y'all come over here, and you know, it's very Southern, right? And that's one of the reasons why I don't enjoy Westerns very often, is because of that dialect. But about 2/3 of the way through, we just forget that exists, and it just goes back into normal dialogue. And it was like, oh, I must just be getting used to it. But then like I actually like started paying attention to it, and it wasn't there. And then for my enjoyment rating, I gave it a 4. This again was not necessarily a book that was designed for me. I think it has an audience, but the audience is not me. And so the total average score for this is a 4.7, which is about a 2.5 on like a 5-star rating scale. With all that said, let's get into the vlog portion of the video. We're going to be starting with The Fall Is All There Is. Okay, so we've moved on to our second book, and that is The Fall Is All There Is by C.M. Kaplan. I was going to wait until page 100 to update you, but I'm having such a good time with this book, and I was really worried about it because I'm one of the last people in the group to read this one, and a lot of people are just like, it's fine, it hasn't been great, but I am enjoying this thoroughly. I am on page 72, which is chapter 5, so I have not read very much of it, but I love the inner monologue. I love the main character is absolutely hilarious, and I'm really enjoying the autism rep in here. There is a lot of stuff like about anxiety and just like masking and just, I don't know, it's just relatable. I've decided to annotate this. I've like tabbed a couple of things. I've highlighted stuff. There's this one sentence that says, "My skull was buzzing, swimming through the white noise of all of the hidden meanings tucked inside conversations I hadn't even conducted yet." And like, if that's not the most relatable thing I've ever seen in my life, it's just, and it's so sad because he's doing these injections that basically like make him socially acceptable and he started doing it as a child because his mom wanted him to fit in, and like the sadness of this like conditional love of like, I need to fix your imperfections so that you can go out into the world, just because it's not socially acceptable in this world to be autistic. Chapter 2 starts out with, "You ever retreat so far into your terrified thoughts that reality itself seems to wither around you. Trawl the depths of your psyche thoroughly enough and remembered pain can nearly bleed through to your physical body. It's like there's an ambient unease nesting in the site of a recollected injury." I'm having such a good time. And I'm liking the audiobook, so I'm immersion reading it as we go. And yeah, this is very much a genre blend. It has a lot of sci-fi elements into it. Obviously, like, he's on this like cyborg horse. There's these like the injections that he gets is essentially like nanoparticles that go into his brain and like alter his chemistry. And there's a lot of discussion about like modified food, like genetically modified food and stuff like that. So we're definitely like, we have a lot of science elements. Oh, the air is like completely unbreathable. They have to wear masks when they go outside. But it still has this like political, fantastical element to it as well. So I'm having a great time. I'm going to continue reading, but I thought I would at least like start talking to you about this. Hello. I am a little over 300 pages into this, and I wanted to update you, except that like there's not as much I can talk about that's not like a complete spoiler. But I am still obsessed with this book. And I'm obsessed with the way that it's written, in the fact that we are in this like close personal space of the one quadruplet, and his siblings are the worst, and they're giving him parts of the story, and they're all fighting against each other. And so he's like, okay, well, Edgar tells me this, but then his sister is like, oh, actually, like, he's trying to do this, and so you're being a pawn, but then you're also using him as a pawn. I'm obsessed with this and how it's like, you can't trust anyone. And honestly, it would be a fantastic ending if in all like reality it's our main character who's really like the evil conniving one. That would be cool. Not sure if that's true, but regardless. But yeah, like, I'm annotating this. This is so much fun. The autism and the anxiety rep in this book is so relatable. There are so many times that I have just like quoted, like I've like highlighted stuff, I've written stuff. This one just says, "Have you ever been subject to a slow buildup of frustration? Grievances mounting over the course of days, but sometimes you don't have an outlet for it, do you? It just kind of sits there, seething, dead weight, burning in the back of your mind." And I was like, why is that so relatable? Like, why is this a mood? I do think that this is probably a little bit, I don't know, like, The technology of it feels more sci-fi. Like obviously like there's these like scientists that are, you know, creating like DNA modification and stuff like that. So it feels science-y, but the overwhelming just like vibe of this feels fantasy. I don't know if it's because it's like, it feels Game of Thrones, but with cyborgs and like science. I don't know. But like, I'm having the best time with this. And I love the fact that the second book I'm reading for SPFBO might end up being like the runaway winner. We'll see though, we'll see. Enjoyment level, 10 out of 10. I can see the criticisms of this book. Logistically, I can see like, it's not the strongest writing. It's not the best book ever written. The prose isn't fantastic, but like, I don't know. I just love this dry sense of humor, and I'm having a good time. And honestly, like that's what 2024 is. So, well, you know, we're gonna move on, but like, I'm having a good time. I'm gonna finish this today. I have like 200, not even 200 pages left. I'm on page 311 out of 480. So not even 200 pages left. My audiobook says I have 2 hours and 4 minutes. So that's fantastic. I'm gonna talk to you later. I was getting all of the footage ready, like transferred over to my computer, starting to edit it. Realized that I either lost the footage of me finishing The Fall Is All There Is, or I never filmed it. Both of those are possible. But I figured we're gonna talk about The Fall Is All There Is and what I thought about it. On a personal scale, this was my first 5-star of the year. I loved this book. This, I mean, like, listen to this. It's so beautiful. This book has such beautiful anxiety and autism representation in that, like, I was like, it was so relatable even for like a fantasy sci-fi type book. I think there's definitely people that will say that this is too sci-fi for SPFBO, and so I'll be interested to see what the actual judges say about it, because there's the potential to dock points for having, like, for it not being fantasy enough. But I feel like even though, you know, there's a lot of technical stuff in here, there's like, it's almost a dystopian world, it felt fantasy because it kind of felt like Game of Thrones. So I don't know, like I never once was like, oh, this is not fantasy. But if you like the genre blending of like Ashes of the Sun, I feel like this will work for you too. Storylines are very different, obviously, but the vibes are kind of, the genre bending is there. There was so much drama in this book. There was so much like family bickering, and it was such an interesting narrative choice in that, like, you only stayed with the one POV. I think it could have easily been all 4 POVs and you could have had like this epic story, but I think only getting one POV kind of worked because you only had like bits of information at a time, because you would be with one brother and you'd be like, okay, well, we're following him, like he is the brother that is like, you know, has our character's best interest at heart, and then like the brother tries to kill you, and then you like, and then you meet the sister and you're like, okay, she knows what's up, she's about to be queen, and then come to find out she's not telling the whole truth either, and then you have the other brother who is like trying to do his own thing. And I don't know, like having only bits and pieces of information at a time, I just feel like kind of worked for this story, because he is kind of the brother that gets shoved around, and then you as the reader also felt like you were getting shoved around. So I thought it was really, really well done. And I did put this author's other work on my Kindle Unlimited library, or at least like onto my list of books that I wanted to pull from Kindle Unlimited. So I will definitely read more from this author. But anyway, let's talk about SPFBO scores, because it's actually like the SPFBO score is going to be a little bit lower than my personal score because of how I personally rate. My enjoyment scale gets a little bit of a heavier weight. But across the board, I do feel like this was a really, really strong book. So I gave the characters an 8.5. Like I said, I loved the siblings. They were so much fun, and they all had such a unique personality that you never, like I was never confused by any of them. I gave the plot an 8. This was such an intriguing concept of having 4 quadruplets essentially as the heir to the throne, and so technically all 4 of them kind of have a right to the throne, because their whole concept is that like an eldest child is like, that's a right from God, but when you have 4 at the same time, you had a doctor's intervention, and so the doctor chose who was the oldest, and that's not a God-given right then. So like it was such an interesting political concept. Loved it. I'm only giving the world building a 6.5, and I think this is where this book struggles. There's like this fog that's like a ghost fog, and it was really hard to kind of understand what that was. Like, was it like a dystopian type of like climate fiction fog, where like you can't breathe it because it's smoke, or was it like literal ghost? I still don't know, honestly. And there was so much discussion of this, like the science and the cyborg horses and stuff like that, but I still wanted even more. This is such a complex world, and we kind of just brushed past things because we were like assumed that we knew it already, but as the reader we didn't. The writing, I'm giving a 9. Like I said, I loved this narrative choice. This was so great. And then the enjoyment level, I'm also giving a 9. Very high marks, so it gets an 8.2 as an average score, which means that it is going to be the front runner currently, but there's still a lot of books to go. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. Good morning. I am 100 pages into Arrival Most Vile. It's like actually 105. I wanted to get to the end of the chapter. This is the last book that I'm going to be reading for this vlog, and I went into this book with a lot of hesitations because lately cozy fantasy has not worked for me, and this feels like the epitome of cozy fantasy. So this book is about 2 rival potioneers that end up setting up shop across the street from each other, and you know, one of them has been established, and then this other one like pops up seemingly out of nowhere, and then they are asked to collab on a new potion by the mayor. They have this commission, and they, you know, have to work together, and obviously we don't want to do that. Ambrose, our main character, who is in the established store, is the grumpiest of a man, and it is so cute. It's so cute. There's like one point where he literally calls him like fire-breathing son of a wood dragon, and it's like, it's cute, it's cozy, but like I am having fun with it and I'm enjoying it. It's not at all the type of book that I would normally read or that I normally enjoy, but 100 pages in, I'm having such a good time. So anyways, I just wanted to come on and talk to you a little bit about it. I was a little bit thrown off at the beginning. It drops you into the kind of the middle of the scene, where like all of the townspeople are there. There's like so many characters. It's giving the opening song of Beauty and the Beast, like, you know, where all the townspeople are like, good morning, bonjour, bonjour. Like, that's what it was giving. And I was like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And like the names are obviously like fantastical, and so you kind of don't know what's going on. That's where we started, but then like we kind of like zoomed in and narrowed in our focus a little bit, and then I was like, okay, I can get on board. So anyways, it's a little outside my comfort zone as far as like what I have been reading recently. It's also very different than the other 2 books that I have in this vlog, which is good, to be honest. I tried to space these out so that they were like different vibes for each one, rather than just trying to like be chaotic about it like I did last year. I was like, we're gonna strategize a little bit. So anyways, that's where I'm at. This one does not have an audiobook, so it might take me a little bit longer to read. I'm basically reading it at night, like doing audiobook during the day of a different book and then reading this one at night. That's where we're at, and I will touch base with you probably like at another 100 pages. Hi. I am getting, oh, it's so bright. I'm getting ready to film, and so I thought I would use this as basically my audio test. And so that's what we're doing today. Nope, wrong way. Cool. Okay, that's much better. You'll probably even go darker. Not that dark. This probably is better. Okay, cool. All right, that's better. Okay, hi. I was getting ready to film, and so I thought I would come on and like do a test and also talk to you about Arrival Most Vile, because I'm about 200 pages of the way in, and I'm bored. I'm bored. I am bored. I think the quirkiness kind of wore off very quickly, and we are getting a lot of redundant scenes in this. We're getting a lot of like doing the same thing over and over again, and like it's cute. Ambrose and Eli, like, adorable together, and I hope the best for them, but there's nothing actually happening in this book. What I will say is that the strength of this book lies in the world building. If you are one who likes an exhaustive world and a really well-defined world, I think that this book will work for you. If you like Legends and Lattes, this book is going to work for you. But there's so many conversations about like what the buildings around them look like and what the food that they're making is, and you know, the smells in the potion shop. This has an audience for sure. Like, and I want this book to find the right audience, because I think that this is the book that a lot of people are going to be looking for. But I'm bored. I am bored. So, yeah, that's all I have for you right now. I'm going to try to finish it up this afternoon, and we'll talk about it when I come back. I really want this book to find its audience. That audience is just not me. Hello, I'm here to wrap up this vlog because I finished Arrival Most Vile. Personally, on a personal scale, I'm giving it 3 stars. This book definitely has an audience, and I think if you were a fan of Legends and Lattes and you want more of that, like just soft coziness, like hug in a book kind of thing, very low stakes and just fun time, this is definitely going to be a book for you, and you should definitely pick it up because it's very well written. For me personally, there was just not enough going on. Like, it was mostly about the relationship happening and less about like anything external outside of the 2 main characters. Like, they had this quest that they were on, but it was all secondary to Ambrose and Eli's relationship and like going from the rivals to more than that. I mean, it was cute. Like, don't get me wrong, it was so cute and they were so awkward. But let's talk about the Swiftbow ratings. For characters, I'm giving it a 6.5. I think Ambrose and Eli were really adorable. Like, Ambrose was the most grumpy character you've ever met, and it was adorable. The side characters, though, you didn't see a lot of them, and you didn't really understand what was going on around Ambrose and Eli. Like, it was very clear that those 2 characters were the central. Everyone else was just like purely in the background. For plot, I'm giving this a 4.5. There wasn't anything that happened in this book, and I think like once you got past the fact that Ambrose and Eli hated each other, like the book really kind of went downhill from there. World building, I'm giving an 8.5. This is definitely where the strength of this book lies. Like I was talking about earlier, this book like explains everything, but in a way that doesn't feel like it's overwritten, if that makes sense. Like, it's a very well-rounded world. It's a very like well-described world, but it doesn't feel overwritten. I think it's done perfectly well. The writing, I'm giving it a 5.5, which I feel like it feels low. And I think it kind of goes into the plot aspect of like very little happened after the 2 got together. Also, I feel like this book had like 5 endings. It was like, okay, this feels like a good wrapping up conclusion chapter. They're like, oh, no, there's another chapter. Well, no, there's another chapter. And it's just, it was a bit much. And then my enjoyment, I'm giving a 6. I enjoyed parts of it, but this is definitely not my personal style of fantasy. But if you're one of those cozy fantasy girlies, this is going to be right up your alley. So that gives this an average rating of a 6.2. It's going to sit in 2nd place for the time being, but you'll have to stay tuned for my next vlog to see if anything can bump it down. Let me know down in the comments below if any of these 3 videos interest you or if you want to read them. I will have some Amazon links down below. Some of these are on KU, but not all of them. But a lot of times they are on sale during the Swiftbow competition. So that way they can get as many eyes on it as they can. But let me know if you're interested in any of those. And if you're not feeling chatty, do some sort of like potion. I don't know. Is there a potion emoji? Try that. I don't know. If not, do a purple emoji. That's all I have for you today. If you're new here and you haven't yet subscribed, there's a little button that you can do so down below the video. If you'd like to hang out with me more, the links to my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, and my Patreon are linked in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!